Hey everyone, I'm Diana Davison, an advocate for the falsely accused and wrongfully convicted. Now, I've been traveling for the last couple of weeks and researching a very important sequence of events in Canada that started out, for me, as a high-profile false accusation case, but quickly morphed into something even bigger. I've reported on the political hit job against former Ontario politician Patrick Brown, and indicated that it does involve Kathleen Wynne's Liberal government. I've held off breaking it down until I got enough proof, and that moment has arrived. Now, this evidence is already in other hands as well, and we hope a criminal investigation will result. For those who are unaware of the situation, on January 24th of this year, Patrick Brown held a hasty press conference after being advised that CTV was going to publish historical allegations of sexual misconduct alleged by two women. He declared the allegations false and vowed to prove them false, but his close advisors had other plans. Through a series of outrageous events, including people having their cell phones taken away while resignations were tweeted behind their backs, Patrick Brown's resignation as leader of the PC party was issued before his head hit the pillow that night, and in fact, before he even approved the resignation. Now, I'm an expert in false allegations, but I've had to dive in to learn more about politics in the course of researching this fiasco. The first thing I can tell you is the more I learn about politics, the less I really want to know about it. When Patrick debunked the sexual misconduct allegations published on CTV, members of the PC party threw a whole laundry list of other accusations, from fake memberships to rigging elections. Evidence has been presented that the membership numbers were in fact accurate that Patrick had been giving, and that Vic Fideli, via a more than shady dude named Ali Khan Velshi, were lying about the fake memberships. But all of these shenanigans were attributed to a pre-existing, disgruntled group from within the party. This is a group spearheaded by Jim Karahalios, unambiguously called Take Back the PC Party. And they'd been trying to oust Patrick Brown for a long time, but they couldn't get rid of a democratically elected leader. That's where the sexual misconduct allegations came in handy. Now, there's a lot of misdirection going on in this case, and the people behind all the mischief were able to mobilize and make use of pre-existing animosity to make this look like a simple inside coup. But the reality is much more insidious. One of the questions that will have to be answered is whether or not the individuals who played roles in this knew that they were complicit in a crime, or if they just got inadvertently used. And that also includes the role that specific members of the media have played. So here we go. It was obvious to anyone with investigative in their title that Patrick Brown had to be removed from power before the end of the night on the 24th. So why the racing clock? I was contacted by an international man of mystery after my first two videos who started giving me tips on where to look. By the way, for those trying to track down this man, and there are lots of them, I can tell you that he is absolutely not Joe Villeneuve. Now, I was extremely skeptical of the information he was giving me, but I decided to check out the information anyway, and over time, despite my skepticism, I discovered that he was absolutely right. As much as I tried to disprove his theory, all of the evidence has shown it to be true. As of this week, I've now seen documents and emails that prove it. In October of 2017, Patrick Brown took a stance vehemently opposing a casino deal between the OLG, Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation, and a company called Great Canadian Gaming. This was orchestrated by the Wynne government. Great Canadian was under investigation for money laundering in BC, and Patrick was pointing out all of the Wynne government connections to lobbyists connected to the deal. Have a look at Bob Lipinski. And this is him trying to look friendly. Lipinski is called the fixer among politicians, and his catchphrase is "Bob solves the unsolvable." We don't really need to know how, right? The money laundering investigation in BC is huge. It's connected to the real estate crisis, and even worse, the fentanyl crisis. And the money was being laundered through casinos, specifically through River Rock Casino, operated by Great Canadian Gaming. And if you think this type of operation is just going on in Vancouver, well, I've got a bridge to sell you in Toronto. So, on January 23rd, the deal was official. On January 24th, Patrick Brown was forced out of office through a sequence of insane events. On January 25th, Vancouver Sun announced that money laundering was in fact found to be going on through Great Canadian Gaming's River Rock Casino. That's money laundering connected to Great Canadian Gaming, which Patrick would absolutely have been able to mobilize to shut down the deal with the OLG. Great Canadian Gaming, found responsible for allowing money laundering, is in partnership with Brookfield Asset Management on the Toronto deal. Brown's chief of staff, Ali Khan Velshi, here he is smoking a hookah pipe and looking rather smug, while his former boss, David Court from McKinsey Group, just got appointed to the board of Brookfield a few weeks after Brown was successfully ousted from power on bogus allegations. Brookfield is a huge operation. They invest in oil pipelines and alternative energy. They just financed most of Trudeau's billion-dollar deal on that disastrous trip to India. They pretty much got their hands on everything. And now they're in the casino business. One more fun tidbit connected to the election to replace Patrick Brown: the party opted for very contentious voting machines from Dominion Voting, and to make it seem transparent, they brought in an auditor, Deloitte LLP. Well, Deloitte just happens to be the auditors for Great Canadian Gaming. You know, that company that's been identified in a money laundering scheme. They're so chummy, one of their auditors got a Great Canadian appointment and went to work for them directly. Now, I'll tell you why I don't like conspiracy theory people like Alex Jones. And I know that people trying to quash this story will present me like that. Well, first of all, they prey on mentally ill people prone to paranoia. And second, more importantly, the crazy conspiracy people try to sell this idea that hundreds of people can be involved in a conspiracy without anyone spilling the beans. That's nonsense. We've got lots of whistleblowers talking to us here. Additionally, what I'm telling you is happening in Ontario has already been busted in Vancouver. We've got proof. We know how this works. We know who's involved, and we know that Great Canadian Gaming is connected. The only question left is how many politicians have been complicit. So all of you who think that Patrick Brown must have done something wrong and that he's probably a creep or some kind of dirty politician, well, you're wrong. He's the guy who cared too much about stopping money laundering and drug dealers. That's the guy who just got thrown out of politics. And the people behind it, they need to be stopped.